My brother. Come sing a song of joy on page 89. Still looking at the same page. 89. All right. 1, 2, 3. Come sing a song of joy, for peace has come, my brother. Sing, sing a song of joy, and let us love each other. One man shall open the door by showing love more than we know. No man can stand alone with outstretched hands before. Reach out and take them in that endures forevermore. Sing a song of joy for love and understanding. Come sing a song of joy, for we are free, my brother. Sing, sing a song of joy, and let us love each other. One mighty voice will acclaim that love is the aim of every heart. Then sing a song of joy, for love has come among us. Does anyone have another suggestion? Just one here. So you can a quick one. What's that? Love, love. Page 142. Love, love. 142. All right, 1, 2, 3. Love, 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 love. The gospel in a word is love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. Pantokrator. You are our creator. You created heaven and earth. We worship you, Jesus Christ. You are our Redeemer. You redeem men in love. We adore you, Holy Spirit. You are our comforter. You fill our hearts and minds. We need you. Coptic Church, you are our pride and joy. In you we find salvation. We serve you. Agios Otheos, Agios Yesheros, Agios Athanatos, Eleisonimes.
Do I have to go heal them? Monica. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Hello. Hi. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna do a pre-talk for like 2 minutes on New Year's, like New Year, New Me. Okay. So. Okay. To start off this year, I think it would be better to like new year, do new you, do new stuff, be different. By that, I'm saying like do random acts of kindness, apologize for a day, take time out of your busy day to be thankful for stuff in your life. That's just the kind of stuff you should be doing. Anyways, in a new year, it's good to start off with goals. Set yourself some goals. These goals should be deep and meaningful for you guys to be able to benefit your life. Making goals, you use there's an acronym called SMART. Be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed. These goals are meant to allow you guys to make deeper connections with yourself. And making goals is really good for you guys because when you make them and you establish them and you make them and achieve them, it's it's good to be able to make them and adapt to yourself and grow. Okay. And it's good to challenge yourself. So step out of your comfort zone when you make goals and grow from them when you do something different and out of your comfort zone. Okay, and then so that's goals pretty much. And then there's habits. It takes 21 days to form a habit. When you guys form a habit, make sure that these habits can be something that will benefit for you. For example, waking up, doing your bed. That's one small task that can make such a difference in your day, and that makes you feel accomplished and able to do more stuff in your life. Okay. In these habits, you should always incorporate God. Incorporate God as in this one was from Angela was saying when you walk to the fridge, you can just do a quick prayer to the fridge. You know what I mean? In your small, in life, do small things that incorporate God. It makes a meaning and adds value to your relationship with God and your time. It's really good to just have God in there with you. For example, we're saying before you drive your car, make a quick prayer, walk to the fridge and pray. These habits make, I don't know. Oh, you can make habits in your prayer, your Bible reading, just everything in your life. The more, for example, if you spend 5 minutes a day reading a book, or praying, or start opening your Bible, it makes more into your life. That 5 minutes can turn to 10 minutes, and it always makes more value into your life. So pretty much, just to sum it all up, just do goals. They're very good to achieve and accomplish, and make habits that will benefit your life with God, and achieve them. It's really good. Just, do your best and God will do the rest. I don't know. Sure.
Sorry guys, we're just having a bit of technical difficulties. As we are just trying to get this PowerPoint up, can we try, this side's doing really well, but can this side try and social distance a little bit more? We just need space between everyone, 2 people to a pew, etc., etc., just so we don't get in trouble. Sorry guys, we're nearly there, I promise. Okay, then you got yours. Okay, cool. I'll introduce you and then you can start. Okay. You gonna be alright with that? So you just. Alright. Relax. You're gonna do it well. Alright. Shh. 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 Alright, guys. Thank you all for coming tonight. So, it's glad to see everyone back after our lovely getaway. Yeah? Did everyone have a good time? Yes? Everybody enjoyed it? Very good. I think really we need to thank like some of the servants that worked really hard. One comes to mind, Justina, worked really hard to organize everything. There's a couple of other servants, Mina with the food. Everyone else in the background did really, really well. We had a really enjoyable time. I think everyone really, really liked it. So looking forward to the next one, I think. So it's good to be back, all right, and starting a new series, okay? So our series, if you haven't got the message, okay, is be who the person you're looking for is looking for, okay? And it sounds a little bit strange, but if you think about it, okay, what we're trying to do, okay, Yusuf, you need this more than anyone, is, sorry, I can do that, I can do that. What we're trying to do, okay, is equip our youth, okay, or you guys, with the knowledge that you need of the other gender, okay? So when we're coming to find the person that we're going to spend the rest of our life with, our spouse, okay, we need to know what the other gender needs, okay? Because it's very well and good to know what I need. I need someone that is very spiritual. I need someone that is financially ready. I need someone that's this and that. But we want to know what the other gender wants. What's important to them? What do they look for so that I can try and build myself to do that or to be that, okay? That's what we're trying to achieve with this. So the first talk, we're going to talk about what are the needs of women, okay? And we've got Mary for that. The next week's talk is going to be men, okay? And then the third one is going to be about what I need, okay? What my criteria are, okay? This is all, guys, it's based off of a series by Abuna Anthony. It's actually based off two different series, but the main one that it's based off, it's called Into the Wild. So if you want to follow on with sort of what we're doing as well, you can listen to those in the meantime. Sammy, you can listen to those in the meantime. So Into the Wild, and it talks about exactly what we're talking about over the next 4 weeks. The last week, okay, the fourth one, is going to be a question panel, okay? So as Mary's talking, I'm gonna create a Slido, okay, that we're hopefully gonna put on the Barbarians chat. If you're not in the Barbarians chat, please let us know and we can add you. But the whole idea is, throughout the series, I want you guys to come up with questions for the panel. We're not gonna answer questions after the talk per se. Like if you have an urgent question, definitely please ask. But we're going to want to try and leave all of them for our expert panel at the end, okay? So it's going to be a mix of people, okay? People that are newly married, people that have been married for a while, and then Abuna as well, because we always need that perspective as well. So we're going to do that at the end so that all of our questions can really be covered as much as we can, all right? I'll stop talking and I'll leave it to our first speaker of the series, Mary Riyad. Everyone make her feel welcome.
Hey everyone, how are we? Good? Thanks, Sammy. All right, so as Bishoy kind of gave you an introduction into its, the first part is what women are looking for. But I'm just going to have a little bit of an introduction before I start going into characteristics, which are all kind of under the same banner. So how do I have to do, okay. I'll just do, okay. All right, are we ready? Can we turn this one off? Just turn it all off, it's fine. Perfect. We got the sunlight, it's all right. Guys, it's all right, we can make it romantic, just turn off the lights, it's fine. All right, are we ready? Okay. All right, so to the guys here, you might be coming here hoping to hear a talk and receive tips on how to to receive tips on like how to romance a girl and all our little needs and, like leaving hearts on post-its everywhere. But that's not really what we're going to focus here. We're going to be looking at what a woman should be looking at when choosing her life partner. So we need to understand a little precursor here before we go into that. And that's within the church, with the capital C, there's no place for what we call as casual dating. And you'll be surprised how this has slowly crept up in our church. A lot of young people find themselves in these committed relationships without any real understanding of the person they're with, or with little or no thought to future marriage. And often a lot of couples dating, it's like marriage is this like, yeah, we'll get there, but it's not something in their, in their goals list or foreseeable future. And sadly, a lot of the time, sometimes the relationship is born out of loneliness, or for girls sometimes wanting to be wanted. And I'm sure everyone at some point has felt this way. The risk of entering into this kind of relationship at a young age can actually cause a lot of emotional damage, and the less maturity involved, the higher the risk of crossing the line of even physical intimacy. So sadly, what's happening, and this is a reality here that the church is dealing with, is that a lot of young couples are starting their married lives with a series of heartbreak, whether they have received the heartbreak or whether they have caused the heartbreak. And history doesn't go away, and it can really follow you into marriage and without you realizing it. And it can affect areas such as forgiveness and trust and intimacy as well. So any dating relationship, it should not be rushed, and it pays to take the time to actually get to know a person before becoming romantically involved with them. So, a quick word to the girls. At some point in your lives, you will be, or you may have already been approached by a guy, and the first advice I will say is just take a breath. Slow down, take your time. Don't even feel the need to be pressured into giving an answer straight away. In most cases, with both parties, your heart may be what's governing your mind, and that's never really a state you ever really want to be in while making an important decision. So before you get to that stage, avoid numerous in-depth, heart-sharing, late-night conversations or hours spent on the phone or texting or Snapchatting. Instead, just step back and actually pray about this. It's important to realize that at this time, that early phase of someone's interested in you or you're interested in someone, you're on a very big emotional high, and you're excited, and it's addictive. But it's also a time where you're very vulnerable, and it's very easy to be deceived. And not that someone's out to deceive you, but it's easy to not see things for what they really are. So before accepting affection or letting someone know how you feel in return, just do 3 things. The first is submit the entire matter to God, and be open to the fact that it may not be what God wants for you right now. The second is ask Him for wisdom. If there's ever a time to need it, it's actually now. And the third is probably not in the spiritual realm, but talk to someone to whom you are accountable. It could be a parent, it could be a priest, a confession father, spiritual guide, someone you look up to. And no, unfortunately, a friend isn't always the best option. So just before, as another kind of part of the introduction, just questions to go through for both genders, actually, to answer before you start getting to know someone. Okay, so the first one is, what are your motivations for starting this relationship? For the girls, is it because he's good looking? Because his mum knows your mum? because he's there and you're worried about what other prospects may come along after him, because all your friends have started dating, which is a huge pressure on girls today, that all my friends are with someone, I should be with someone too. And to the guys, is it because she's cute, because she replies to your Snapchats, because she's just like one of the boys? Is it because deep down you're lonely? So it's important to question yourself with why are you starting this relationship. The second is, are you practically and emotionally ready to be in a committed relationship that actually leads to marriage? And it's important that you recognize that that's the goal. It doesn't mean that you should be ready to get married immediately, but that over a reasonable period of time for a romantic relationship, you and your future partner will be ready to get married, provided that everything goes well. So are you emotionally ready for this? Have you just left a previous relationship and this could be a rebound? And sometimes we have this pressure, especially when we start getting into our 20s, that it's like a disease to be single. I don't understand what it's like. Might be more prevalent in our community. It's like, have you found someone? Have you found someone? And for the guys as well as the girls, but more the guys, are you practically ready for this? Or are you in the middle, or have just started a very long and intense educational process that needs your full attention for your success? Are you financially stable and ready to undertake the finances that go with this type of territory? And these questions, if they're answered honestly by, let's say, most teenagers, for example, or even someone older, would result in the wise decision to probably postpone romantic relationships until later in life. And if you're someone that's sitting here and you're honestly finding that you might not be ready to start this type of relationship that should lead to marriage, that's okay too. If you find yourself in that kind of relationship, maybe it's not a bad idea to reconsider or revert to a friendship and socialize within a group setting. Something to think about. The next one. Does this potential partner demonstrate a genuine love of God? So sometimes what we want to hear, especially as girls, we want to hear an expression of love, an expression of affection from this significant other, and we would do better to actually look for the way that they express their love for God and others. So by time, butterflies and blushes, they fade, and you find yourself interacting with the real person. And if you're looking for the right thing, their love and commitment to God can give you a bigger insight into what type of partner they will be. Do you share the same spiritual priorities? So I'm going to quote a verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. It says, "Do not be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship has righteousness with lawlessness, and what communion has light with darkness?" So this verse doesn't only refer to the coupling of Christians with non-Christians, it can actually also apply to two Christians. Although no two people can really be at the exact same, identical, stations in spirituality, you should be close to your partner in that respect. So close enough so that they can reach and pull you up if you need it. How does he or she submit to authority? And if someone told me this one when I was, younger or, even dating, it wasn't really something that I listed as important or something that I would look for. But being married now, I think, and seeing it in my own husband, I realized its importance actually. And rebellion is often confused. And to be with someone that can submit themselves to a higher authority, the first being God, of course, and his word, but also to someone like their confession father, you'll find that your relationship will not experience the turmoil that comes with stubbornness and disobedience. You need a lot of actually humility to be successful in a relationship. So what have you seen in terms of humility and servanthood? It's very easy when someone is trying to impress you, they seem very generous and kind-hearted, and you start listing every good trait that you can think of. And the reason that it's actually very helpful to, and it's an advantage of group settings prior to entering like a romance, is that you have a much better or an accurate idea of how their character is really, and before all the fairy dust and roses start appearing, you want to actually see them kind of in their natural space. And their relationships with their family can also give you a strong indication, with their friends and even their colleagues. But family for me is a big one, actually. Do you have the blessings of whom holds you accountable? So for most of us, you might be a confession father or a parent. And I really believe that God doesn't leave you alone when you're making such a big decision like this. Although no one can make the decision for you, it's important to, humble yourself and allow yourself to be counseled in this situation. And this point is actually linked for me with submission to authority. I think if we took a survey of confession fathers across the churches, you'd find too many cases of long-time confession fathers being ditched because they voiced concerns over a choice of a partner, or people that priest hop until they find an opinion that suits them and suits their choice. And as girls, as women, we shouldn't be oppressed by this. This isn't them fighting for us. In fact, it should make you pause and think twice. It's not a good sign. So what would your attitude be towards sacrificing or postponing the start of this relationship? We pray daily, let your will be done, but how often do we genuinely mean it? And we all know the story of Abraham and Isaac. And although God didn't let Abraham sacrifice Isaac, Abraham's willingness was there. And sometimes by time your perspective changes, you don't find yourself in the same place emotionally than when you started. And if you're unsure about something, it's much wiser to give it some time than to push ahead with my will, regardless of what may be before us. And when something is really from God, and I'm sure in various situations you might have that personal experience of when you really feel like something's from God, you receive it in faith and patience and with peace in your heart. Okay, so just kind of like a pre-survey of all these questions to hold within yourselves. And now we're just going to move forward into just a couple of specific characteristics that all women should be on the lookout for. So qualities we look for when getting to know a man. So keyword, a man. Put your hand up if you think that there's too many boys out there and not enough men. Sam Myriad is like, yes. So it's important for us to have this requirement at the top of the list. And I'm not just referring to gender. Like I said, it's not, being a man means a lot more than just being a boy. So for me, what's important is the approach, the start of anything. And the start of courtship or a dating relationship is really important. And although not everyone's beginnings are identical, but they all should have something in common. And that's respect and intention. So with regard to respect, guys, if you are planning to pursue a girl, please respect her space, her values, her boundaries. Texting daily does not mean that you get to call dibs. And if you do finally approach with the guidance and counsel of your confession fathers, I hope, respect her by doing it in person. So remember, we want men and not boys. And with regard to intention, girls, please don't accept any aimless wandering. And to the guys, the only acceptable reason to initiate a romantic relationship is when there's a clear direction toward marriage. This doesn't mean that every single relationship could or would or should result in a marriage. Not everything works out. But their only legitimate purpose is to prepare for marriage. So if the realistic goal of marriage is not in sight, we need to ask the question, and guys, you need to ask yourselves this question: what right do I have to draw someone into an intimate, romantic relationship when they are likely to become someone else's wife? It's a tough question. But if you can't offer this to a girl as you would want for your own daughter, then what right do we have? So basically, relationships are obviously considered a very serious step forward and not just a thing to do when you're old enough to drive, okay? So the next 4 slides, we're almost done, by the way, if anyone wants me to slow down. So I just picked 4 things to talk about. The first one is responsible. How a man deals with and holds responsibility says a lot about his maturity and his character, or simply where he is in life. You know, how a 19-year-old might deal with responsibility might be different to how a 24-year-old deals with responsibility. And when girls enter a relationship with a guy who's not had a lot of experience with responsibility, it shows, and we're the ones that suffer. So a responsible man is also the following. They are emotionally responsible. They're aware of how their actions or words can make people feel. They consider others, and they might not have this skill as finely tuned as we do as girls, but they should have some extent of ability to be able to do this. The second is that a responsible man can be trusted. If he says that he will do something, then he needs to have done it. I can trust my husband to do anything he says, whether it's small or big. There are no levels or degrees of importance. Anything he says he will do, it's important, and he's committed to doing that. So I trust that. I'm not afraid when he says he's going to do something and then he doesn't do it. I don't try and do it myself because I'm afraid he's not going to do it. Big or small, I know he's going to do it, and that's really important. It keeps me feeling safe, feeling secure, and feeling that I don't need to burden myself with things that he said that he will carry. A responsible man can take care of other people. So this means emotionally, physically, and especially spiritually. We know that a relationship within a marriage isn't just limited to 2 people. It has the possibility of expanding to children. And if you start dating a child, you know, then you'll be waiting a while. We don't want to date children. We want to date men. And a responsible man can take care of other people. Not just take care of other people, but he can take care of himself. It doesn't mean that a man can never accept help, but it means that if he's left alone to his own devices, he can still function, still take care of himself, still live, okay, without constant dependence on mum, okay? And finally, a responsible man takes responsibility of his own actions. So when we make a mistake, watch how he makes a mistake. And if and when he realizes it, does he own it? Does he admit to it? Does he lay down his pride and say, actually, that was my bad? You'd be surprised at how many guys don't know how to do this. And this point for me really differentiates the boys from the men, when a guy is able to actually reflect and try and be self-aware and to reflect on what they've done and how this has made X person feel, and to admit a mistake, really important. The next one is purpose-driven. It's really hard to accept leadership from someone that has no idea where they want to go. Girls, do we want go with the flow? No? Yes? some no's. Guys, we don't want go with the flow, okay? Not when it comes to, I'm not talking about what you're gonna eat for dinner, I'm talking about the important things in life. And this doesn't mean that they're never allowed to stand at a crossroad, but in general, women need someone that's not afraid to express what they want. They're not afraid to set goals and actively work towards achieving those goals, whether they are career goals or relationship goals. The next one is boundaries. So there's two types of boundaries that women will look for when dating, and if it's not on your list, girls, then please put it on there. There's emotional boundaries and there's physical boundaries. So to the emotional boundaries, there is such thing as too much too soon. To the guys, remember what we said about respecting our space. And to the girls, it's okay to let your guard down, but do it a little bit at a time. Wait until you know that you can trust this person. Don't let late night phone calls creep in and result in sharing intimate personal details and darkest secrets, and especially in the early stages of dating. And that's what I'm referring to. I'm not saying never tell them anything. I'm saying in the early stages, or even with a male friend, you know, don't share things so close to your heart with just anyone. Protect your heart, because if things don't work out, you don't want unnecessary heartbreak because you shared too much. You don't want to feel like they've walked away with a piece of you that you can't really get back for no reason, because not everything works out. To the boys, and this is something that really bugs me, please don't use God as a topic to emotionally manipulate your way into a girl's heart. So sitting in the car at 2 a.m. all alone at a park is never okay because you talked about Rabbena. All right? And before you left, you prayed Our Father together. All right? So please don't fake being spiritual, because we'll be able to tell. It shows, and a real relationship with God has fruits, and this isn't it. So please don't use a girl's own love or naivety for her God and trying to make her feel safe with you just to get something. Sorry, we're on the last one. All right. So to the physical boundaries, I'm sure there can be an entire talk done on this all by itself, but to the point, keep your hands to yourself. And that's it. Just keep your hands to yourself. Don't do anything in private that you would not feel comfortable doing in the presence of your mum, your priest, Jesus, the list goes on. Okay, it's really that simple. Call it a night at a reasonable hour before you get tired, when there's too much privacy and your defenses weaken. Be cautious of just excessive physical closeness for not really a good reason. Whether it's something as innocent as a hug or anything else. And finally, on this particular point, to the boys, if you are considered as the leader in a Christian relationship, you're actually responsible to keep her purity of body and heart untouched for her husband. Whether that's you or not, it's actually none of your business. But it's your responsibility. It's just the same. Okay? And the piece of advice for this is set your boundaries before you need them. Don't find yourself in a situation and go, oh, I need to set this right here. No, you need to set that boundary for everything, for emotional boundaries, for physical boundaries before you need them. Because when you need them, you won't find them if they're not set from before. And the last point is spiritual. And I've put this slide as last, and I'm sure you won't be surprised to find that it's the most important. When a man is honest in his relationship with God, he's able to conduct his life and subsequently his own marriage to constantly align it with God's will. In the crowning ceremony, the man is anointed as what? The priest of this new church. They are the leaders. And if they're not praying, if they're not reading their Bible, if they're not taking regular confession, which are the basics. I'm not talking dripping oil here. They're basics. Without these things, the relationship won't reach the potential it could reach in God's eyes. So the importance to stress on the importance of a praying man in a relationship. If you have a need as a woman in that relationship that your husband is struggling to meet, whether it's empathy, understanding, patience, more love, who's going to give it to him? Sunday school answer, I promise. God. So is he going to find it in a book, an entertaining sermon online? No, he's going to get it from God himself. And when he struggles to meet those needs, only God can give it to him. And he has to return to prayer, turn to the Lord and be like, I'm struggling here, please help me. And this relationship with God doesn't, and this goes for the girls, this doesn't start when you're married. It starts when you're single. It's like wanting to build your new home for your wife, but only starting construction the day before the wedding. Sounds like she'll be living in a shack, right? And for a while. So anything worth having, you got to start building on it early on. And that's pretty much, the room's filled up as we've coming to the end, but that's pretty much the crux of what I wanted to say. So according to Samuel Riyad, the moral of the story is actually to stay single. But 2 minutes ago. But actually the moral of the story is that these characteristics that we look for in men, everything that I've just listed, every single consideration, every single question we need to ask of them, we actually need to expect it of ourselves first, as much as reasonably possible, okay? Because it takes two, and it's hard to ask the man to be so spiritually X and so responsible Y and compassionate and caring when we're not actually working on ourselves for that. So I'm very to the point. I'm sorry it didn't take long, but I hope that we all got something out of it. So I'll pass it back on to Bish.
All right. We've got a couple of questions through, guys. If you have any other questions, sorry, thank you very much, firstly, for that. That was really, really good, hitting the nail on the head, I think. I hope everyone learned something from that, most importantly, the boys. But if you guys have any other questions, I've sent through the link to the Barbarians WhatsApp group. If you're not on that, the code on the Slido is up on the screen. We'll leave that up on there until after the announcements. We do have 2 questions here, but I'm going to ask Mary if she wants to leave those for the panel or if she wants to answer them. While we're doing that, while Mary's reading those, we'll go through announcements. If you guys have any other questions, please send them through to the Slido.
All right, guys, welcome back. I think this is the most people we've seen in a very, very long time, so thanks for coming. It's really good to see you all here. So just a couple of announcements. So Thursday nights, we do have our Bible study at 7:30. If this many people came, I think Abun would have a heart attack, so it'd be amazing to see you guys there. We're going to currently start the Gospel of Mark. Yep, we're starting the first chapter this week, God willing, so it'd be amazing for you guys to start the new journey with us. Also, if you guys don't know, we have an online bookstore, and you can talk to Irini about that if you want any extra information. If you guys don't receive our His Vine messages, just to keep you updated with the speakers and the topics, you can see John Riyad, and he can add you to the His Vine list. or, oh yeah, he's here. Okay. Also, there is a QR code outside. If you guys haven't signed in, please do so because we need to know of the people that have attended today. Also, for all the coming weeks until further news changes or whatnot, if you guys could bring your masks, that would be amazing because we do need to wear masks indoor. So for all the coming weeks, if you guys could bring them, that would be great. We also have a Mass Friday from 6 to 8. So if you are working, you can come beforehand, God willing, and attend that Mass with us. And also just with the Slido, if you guys have any questions, you can put them in. It will be open for a week. So if you guys think of any questions throughout the week, you can add it to the Slido link, and we'll be saving all the questions every week for our final panel on the 4th topic. So we'll have a panel of people with your questions. You can still ask questions on the day, but the ones that are submitted will be obviously pre-prepared by those speakers. And if we could all just stay seated. No? Okay.
So I think we'll answer two of the questions that are on the Slido, and then we'll leave the other two for the panel in about 3 weeks' time. I think Mary's comfortable to answer two of them.
So one of the questions was, how do you know that you're not settling? And obviously I can't answer this personally to whoever's asking because I don't know you, or I don't know who you're looking at or what your values are, but I can only answer it for myself. With me, when I was getting to know Yusuf, I didn't feel like anything. He's looking at everyone like, don't look at me. But I just didn't feel, firstly, I felt peace. Like I didn't feel like something was niggling at me. I didn't feel like there were red flags. I didn't feel like, it was just Sammy. Like, I don't know what, like, I was like, how am I going to deal with this? Nah, I love you, Sammy. So just, like, let me restart. During the entire period of getting to know him, for the first time ever, I can say that I never stopped praying. And I never stopped praying because I was terrified. I was terrified because I thought, what if I make the wrong decision? What if I marry this person? And what if it's my choice and not God's choice? And I just, the only solution for me was that I just constantly prayed, and my prayer was just the same every time. It was the same for about a year. And it was, if it's not him, I'm okay. Just take it away. It's okay. I'm fine. I'll be okay, Lord. Just take him away from me. Any means possible. I'm sorry. But that was just what I constantly said, because I didn't want it to be my choice. I feel confident in him because I know that it wasn't, of course it's my choice, but you know what I'm getting at. I just felt like he was put there, but I didn't force it. I didn't say, no, it has to be him, whatever, no matter who anyone says, it has to be him. I was very, very open to it not being him, and I made peace with the fact that if it ever came up or anything ever, came up so wildly to say no, I would be okay. And throughout the whole time, I just never felt like, if I always ask myself, if I marry this man, if I meet someone else, like, would I feel like, oh, I should have waited a bit and waited. I could have waited and gotten a better model. And I never felt that way. Every time I kind of question myself, it's like, no, I feel for me, I've gotten the best. So I don't know if that answers your question, but the way to feel confident is actually to feel confident that it's not your choice, that it's God's choice. And the only way to do that, and I'm sorry to give you that Sunday school answer of prayer, but that's the only way I can just tell you from my own experience that I felt safe. And that you will feel peace, that you're not going to feel like there's something bothering you or there's a red flag and you're trying to push through all these problems. They're not meant to be all these red flags. There's not meant to be all these strong negative feelings and upsetness that you're meant to work through. That's not what it's about in the early stages when you're getting to know someone. Okay, so the next one, I'm not sure which one you want me to answer the next, but I'll go with, what if we're both struggling spiritually? What can we both do to help ourselves become closer together with God? So that's a tough one because I don't know where you are in the stage of your relationship. Are you just starting out? If you're starting out and you feel like you're actually not in a place where, because there's different types of struggling spiritually. We all struggle spiritually. So if you feel like this is making you vulnerable, that you could make mistakes, that it could potentially be not a good situation with if the two of you are like this and you're coupling together. If this is very early in the relationship, I would probably say maybe just take a breath, slow down, because you don't want, because if you push it and you recognize that you are not spiritually strong enough, it's a good time to work on yourself before you get together with this person. You work on you, let them work on themselves, and come back together. Because if you continue with this big crack in your relationship, what the devil is going to do is going to find it and he's going to jackhammer it. Okay, and you don't want that. If you are further along in your relationship and stepping back is like, you're like, no, I can't, then I would definitely recommend you talk to someone about it that can put you on a plan separately but together, because ultimately you have to build yourself up separately. Even in your married life, your spiritual life, as much as it's good to do together, ultimately it's still individual. Your prayers that you have within yourself are still individual. They can't really do it on behalf of you. So if you are further along in your relationship and you want to work on it together, then I suggest you seek a spiritual guide or a confession father to put you on some kind of plan together or guidance to help you work on that together. But ultimately, just remember that you still have to work on it individually in your rooms, separately, okay? Try and avoid doing the spiritual stuff together early on in your relationship, especially if you're, if you haven't reached an engagement stage. It can get distracting, and sometimes it can give you a false sense of success where you feel very spiritual, but you're just really enjoying standing next to them. You're just really enjoying feeling that you're doing something good together. But that's not what being spiritual is about. It's about individual struggle, but you're both doing it at the same time, not necessarily together. Does that make sense? Is that all you wanted me to? Yeah, I mean, they're all really good questions. They're all really good questions. Answer them. Okay. Some of them, they need a bit of prep. So I'll answer one more. It says, how do you find out what a guy's spiritual habits are, e.g. praying without being awkward during the beginning stages before you were too attached? Okay. So again, we've discussed about not using kind of very early in the relationship to pray together, because it distracts you from what's actually happening. It is a hard one. It's not something you're going to find out straight away. It's not like a questionnaire, hey, how often do you pray? But without falling into the trap of using God as a topic to score points, if it's a genuine conversation, it's a perfectly okay conversation to have. Obviously, there is a point where you may not be comfortable, like if it's very early on, but there should be a time frame where you feel safe to ask, and it shouldn't be awkward, but you still kind of have protected yourself. But it shows. You don't always need to know that a guy is, he's praying at 8:30 in the morning to know that he's praying. There's other ways to know that. It could be, his activity, and I know this isn't always the guide, but how seriously he takes his church life, how seriously he takes his service. There's a lot of other signs of his spiritual life, like the fruits, his virtues. You know, it's hard to, if you meet someone and they're not very nice, or they're not very, insert whatever, then you might, it's safe to assume that maybe their prayer life isn't as strong. You don't necessarily have to specifically, hey, what time do you pray, to know that they're praying. There's other ways to know, and it's the result of their prayer, if that makes sense. It's another one. I know that's anonymous, but I just want to ask, does that answer your question? But I know that's pointless because it's anonymous. Does anyone else have any other thoughts on the same questions? You might share something that we all might benefit from. No? All right, last one. So every relationship has its own struggles. How do you determine when to let it go or fight for something you see as worth it? This is a hard one because everyone's experience of their relationship is different. But it depends on what kind of struggles there are. So, for example, a friend of mine was seeing someone that wasn't from the church. That was a huge struggle. Cost her family and, you know, herself. But to her, it was worth it because, well, not now. She's happily married, but at the time, to her it was worth it, and to her it was something to be fought for. Something like that is not worth fighting for if it's going to cost you your family, yourself. Maybe you compromise on your faith. You don't know. Obviously, this is a very exaggerated example, but the struggles that you go through in a relationship should never really, because remember, anything that you have in the beginning, it's going to be amplified in your marriage. So you have to kind of be the one to judge, am I happy for this to be taken into the marriage? What if this is a struggle that I have to deal with forever or for the duration of XYZ? Am I happy for that? Abuna, did you want to add anything to that? The question is, every relationship has struggles. How do you determine if it's to let it go or fight for it? It's hard to know without what the struggle is. It's hard to
I think
judge
that. It should be a guidance in each relationship. The other things, there is few points. It's red light. Yani. There is trust point. If that trust point has been broken, I think it's very hard to bring it back. Because after marriage, it's very easy that you'll be attacked and will be think about it more, because the struggle will be more. All right. So if the trust is broken, it will be 90%. It shouldn't go ahead. The other point is keeping the level of respect. See, two couple getting know each other, and there is, for any reason, there is hitting or there is swearing between them. You abuse, yeah. You expect after marriage something totally different, much higher level. So that's something, I think it's a red light. Okay. I think that's the most 2 points. It's very important. But one more thing, it's based on what's your expectation, what kind of life you want to live. Okay, as you said, Mary, there are people, they are church kind of, they love the life of the church. There are people, they are not interested. If I lived my life in the church, all my childhood and youth and stuff, and then I'm gonna used to know someone, he is very new in the church. It's very hard that someone will be similar to me. He will be starting to love the church and come, all of that. It will not happen, will never happen. Okay? So I will expect that I'm gonna sacrifice many things for that relationship. So I have to choose, is that what I want, or I can't live this way? Because that's what's happened when we see couples get married, and then after a few months, after a couple of years, you will find the issues starting. He doesn't want to come to church. I want to come to church. He doesn't want to serve. I want to serve. And then you go back and talk to that person, he's not interested. So usually the change in any couple before marriage, it doesn't exceed than 5% or 10%.
Yeah.
Whatever you say, you will get. Okay, it's a package. Okay. Yes, there might be slight change, but very change. That's during engagement. It's very nice period of time, but if you take it just by emotion, it will be very deceiving. But if you put emotion and logic and think about 10 years later, when that emotion drop and that romantic period pass, what it will be look like.
Yeah. So, yeah, just along the same lines of, I mean, I've been married, how long have I been married? Almost 3 years now. So not very long and not just newlyweds. But I don't think we have changed all that much. Grown together, yes, but like Abuna said, what I saw was exactly what I got. The only thing is what I saw as a fact. In marriage, you experience that fact. What you know is that, you know, your partner does this, now you live this. And for me, that was the only difference. There was nothing surprising. So during that time of getting to know someone, like Abuna said, you know, if you take your heart out of it, it should make sense. It should be a logical choice. If you take your mind out of it, you'll be very disappointed. So, and like Abuna was saying, there are certain struggles where you say no to, like abuse, for example. That's just definite no. But you'd be surprised how many girls actually put up with that. And it's not just physical abuse; it can be emotional abuse as well, to be manipulated, and that's also abuse. So, you have to look out for those things. But Abuna, what kind of struggles do you feel that we should push through? Is there even such thing as struggles that you have to push through when you're getting to know someone?
Can we take their opinion, and you guys would love to share? I think it would be nice that you guys have some input, and then we can add later. What kind of struggle? Definitely, any relationship there is definitely there is no relationship without struggle. But what kind of struggle that we can let it go, or we can live with it, or we can close our eyes.
Silencio. You know another guy.
All right, judges, you're up.
Anyone like to? Abuna, I think we need your help.
They're so innocent, Abuna. They've never dated, they've never chatted, they've never flirted. They're just so good. Ever.
So, guys, I think back to the point, it's based on what I want in my relationship. Okay, what I can live with and what I cannot live with. Okay, we all know that everyone has positives and negatives. Okay, and my positive nice and very attractive to the other person. My negative, someone can live with it, but someone else cannot live with it. Okay? Do you agree? Do you guys agree? So it's based on my choice, all right? If I can see there is two people perfect, they are perfect, all right? But they are not matching, not because they are not perfect, but because as a person, I cannot deal with his negatives. I cannot deal with the weakness of the personality. And vice versa, same. So it's based on my preference, okay? But please make sure that during that period of dating and before the engagement and all that stuff, there is not because you just want to get married, you let many things go, okay? We need to be careful. مثلا, for example, the idea of smoking, okay? Many couples, they say, all right, the guy promised the girl, I promise you, I will stop smoking once we get married, okay? How many times that the guy, he actually fulfilled that promise and he actually stopped smoking? I never saw it. It did not happen. Honestly, many married couple, the girl come after a few months and she says, Abuna, we agreed, and once we got married, I saw him smoking in the backyard. So why did you? He said, I can't, it's very stressful, and she's always making me angry. So it goes back, it's all the cycle, okay? You will never get an end of it, okay? So we need to be practical a bit more, okay? There is stuff cannot change, okay? Of course, it would be great and perfect that the person stop smoking, perfect. But how much percentage he's going to stop smoking? 1%? 2%? Not more than that, okay? But that's something we need to consider, all right? The other point, which is I'm highlighting again, is what standard I want to have my life, okay? Standard of living a life outside Christ, because that's the easiest one, okay? Or a life with Christ inside his church and in the spirit of Christianity. That's tough one. Not all the couples, they agree on it, okay? So there are people, they say, okay, there is different denomination, Orthodox, Protestant. Without mentioning names and stuff, I know two couples كده. The guy is Orthodox, loves the church and stuff. His wife, she became Orthodox, okay? We all, as an Orthodox, we know there is stuff in the church we do, intercession, Holy Communion and stuff. It starts the first few months, everything is fine, they come to church together and nice. Later, you will find that the girl, I'm not sure how, she just realized she doesn't want to come to the mass. She doesn't believe in intercession. She doesn't believe in anything. Like whatever, as Orthodox, we love and that's our part of our life. So you'll find a big, huge division happening between the husband and wife. Why? Because they are not on the same base. It's not the same standard, okay? So it goes back again to what's my standard is. Am I happy to sacrifice being مثلا in the church or serving? Am I happy to sacrifice the life of the church or not? Make sense? You guys think it's any kind of sense? If you guys want to add anything, please, but there is heaps of stuff, there is many examples you can understand, you can see life, how people, they usually take it as, it's very romantic, okay? It's love story, perfect, very nice. But we have to make it a bit of logic with it, so life can goes on, okay? And of course the standard, when we say, when someone come and date another person, Okay, a guy, he came and told the girl, can we have a chance to talk, go out, مش عارف ايه. Don't agree with anyone. Sorry, make sure first that you have that your acceptance and you see that he can be the right person before you accept anything. Okay, don't open the door, because once you open the door, emotion starts first and then logic comes second. Okay, and when emotion comes first, it comes with a lot of issues. Okay, and that's why we need to, before I say okay, I need to think what I want in this relationship. What can I see in my husband to be in future? What standards we should be matching with? There is some standards we have to be matching with. We are on in levels of some equality or similarity in some stuff. And then I give the green light. But I can't say, all right, let's do it because he looks cool, looks nice, he's very funny. When I see that, that's give us an idea that there is kind of immaturity when someone said that. Okay, so there is much more than how he looks like or how she looks like, because it ends after marriage that the physical appearance, it's not attractive anymore like before, and the romantic relationship and emotion, it's not that high anymore. Okay, so there is other parameters and standards I have to follow. That's gonna take me to my life, all my marriage life. Okay.
Guys, there's a couple more questions. Are you guys happy for us to answer them now, or do you want us to leave it to the panel? I know there's a couple of boys at the back that are keen to leave. I think we're getting a mix of everything. Yeah, look, I think we'll leave it. I think we'll leave it to the expert panel. We've answered a few questions tonight. We'll also we'll try and cover those questions that we answered tonight as well on the expert panel as well, if we can try and get through as much as we can. But if you come up with any other questions, guys, some of these questions are amazing. Like, they're really, really like touching on some really important points that you guys really need to know in your dating life, in your early years, okay, in your early days.
One more.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Right,
Go
so
ahead.
this question. So it says, what is your stance on red flags? I personally think if there are red flags in the beginning of the relationship that you should end it. Is that being too picky? No, because that's what red flags are for. They're to warn you, right? So if there are red flags that are coming up and you go, no, it's not really a red flag, or don't be too picky, or just push through, and every relationship has struggles and you push through and you end up marrying them, and then Abuna finds you in his office a few months later, you're going to be like, why did God let me do this? He's going to be like, well, were they not red flags? They're there for a reason. But every person's red flags may be different. I had a friend who very soft-hearted person, very patient, and she was seeing a guy who had a very bad temper. But when he's not angry, he's sweet as pie. But when he got angry, he was a different person. And she calls me one night and she's crying and she's upset. And I go over and it's like midnight and I'm like, what happened? She's like, I broke up with him. I'm like, why? I thought everything was going great. She's like, I cannot. He gets too angry and I know that I will not be able to deal with his anger later. She couldn't even deal with it then, but she had the foresight to know that things don't get sweeter by time. They get harder with time. So don't start with it being difficult. And so I was shocked, but I respected her for it, because she knew what she wanted, she knew what she needed. For her, the red flag was his temper. And as much as she really liked him, she had the courage and the strength to just cut it. and she's that type of person. She's able to make that decision. But if this person is asking this knows that this is a red flag for me, don't ignore that. What if that's God saying to you, hey, pay attention? Maybe it's right person, wrong time, or wrong person, right time, or any of the combinations. So don't ignore that. I just wanted to answer that one because it's not being too picky. They're your red flags because they're your needs, they're your expectations, and if you ignore them, you can only blame yourself. Like I was saying earlier, the peace that you feel with the choice of your partner is not confidence in your choice, it's confidence, it's Godfidence, okay? It's confidence in God's choice, okay? So if you feel like he's really from God, you won't, any issues that come your way, you're not gonna be like, oh, I shouldn't have married him. Why did they make me marry this guy? Like, you can't say that. You will say, no, he was given to me from God's hand, and God will help us through this issue. You don't start, the minute you start doubting, a problem comes up, you doubt yourself, you doubt your choice, then you know that that where did he come from? Or did you handpick him, or did God choose him for you? And it's all nice words about God choosing for you, but it's all about, comes down to how hard you're praying during that time, and not to rush. Like Abuna was saying, when someone asks you out, or when someone approaches you, it's all emotion and it's all nice feelings. Just ask Yusuf what my answer was. It wasn't yes and it wasn't no. It was, I need to think. I need, just wait. You just put the brakes on things. I don't need to answer you right now. And as girls, we feel pressure to give an answer, or if we want to say yes, don't say yes. Wait, pray, pause, and then go back, give your answer. Don't make emotional decisions. So yeah, I'll give it back to Bishoy, but I really like that question because no, you're not being too picky. Usually the issue is that you don't see the red flags at all, and they're there. So if you're seeing the red flags, please don't ignore it.
Awesome. All right. So thank you, Mary, for that. Thank you for Abuna for that. There are still more questions coming in. Yes, we will get to them, I promise, on the expert panel at the end. If you guys can all stay seated for a photo, I think they're going to. Also, sorry guys, you can also vote on the questions that are on the Slido. So if you guys actually like a question, you really want it to be revisited, go on there, read those questions that are there, like the question, and we'll know that that's quite an important question that everyone needs to, or that we need to delve deeper into, okay? Stay seated for a photo.
Sorry guys, I just have one more announcement. I'm very sorry, I forgot. Tomorrow we have a mass to celebrate the Feast of Epiphany. So if you guys want to have Holy Communion, you need to abstain from food at 1:30, and it goes between 7 to 10:30. So yeah, it'd be amazing to see everyone there. Also, before we take the photo, I'm sorry, I know I'm annoying, but can I just please ask, if there are more than 2 people in a row, can you please move to a different row? And can everyone please put their masks on? No. And also, if there are 2 people in a row, can you separate to the end? And also, there's heaps of space at the front and empty ones at the back. And also, people that are inside, can you come... Sorry, people that are outside, can you come inside, please? Thank you. Can you...